I want you to picture a scenario. And honestly, I don't think you'll have to try very hard because this was probably your life yesterday.
Oh, I know this one.
It's 5:30 p.m. You've been at your desk for 8 hours. You've replied to, what, 40 emails? You sat through 3 Zoom meetings.
One of which definitely could have been an email.
Definitely. You've been active on Slack, cleared all your notifications. You are absolutely exhausted. Your brain feels like mush. But then you look at your to-do list, and you realize you didn't actually cross off a single meaningful thing.
It is the universal modern condition, isn't it?
Yeah.
We are drowning in being busy, but we are starving for actual productivity.
Exactly. It's that hamster wheel feeling. You're sweating, you're tired, but you haven't actually gone anywhere. And today, we are going to try and dismantle that wheel. We are doing a deep dive into Cal Newport's deep work. And I have to say, going through this research, I felt a little attacked, but mostly I felt relieved that there's a name for this problem.
It is a fascinating text. And Newport isn't just offering, productivity hacks here. He's making a pretty alarming economic argument.
Right.
He argues that in our hyper-connected world, the ability to focus without interruption is becoming incredibly rare. But because it's so rare, it's becoming the most valuable skill in the economy.
So if you can focus, you win. But before we get into the how, and we have a lot of practical stuff to cover, we need to define our terms. What exactly counts as deep work?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm working all day, but Newport would probably disagree with me.
He likely would, yeah. Newport defines deep work very specifically. It's professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their absolute limit.
Distraction-free being the key phrase there.
The absolute key. This is the kind of work that creates new value, improves your skills, and frankly, is very hard for anyone else to replicate.
So if you can do it while watching Netflix or checking your phone, it's not it.
It is not deep work, no.
Which brings us to the villain of this story. Shallow work.
Right. Shallow work is all those logistical-style tasks, often performed while distracted. Answering emails, scrolling social media, minor admin stuff, scheduling meetings about meetings. The dangerous thing about shallow work is that it's not empty. It keeps you employed. It stops you from getting fired. But it doesn't help you get ahead.
It's the difference between being a busy worker and a valuable one. So our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. We want to understand why we are all stuck in the shallows, why depth is basically a modern superpower, and then get into the specific tactical ways to rewire our brains.
Right. Because as we'll see, it's not just a matter of willpower.
Not at all.
And we should probably start with that economic argument. Because Newport builds a very cold, hard case for this. It's a classic supply and demand issue.
Let's unpack that, because usually when we talk about the economy, we talk about skills coding, writing, accounting. We don't usually talk about focus as a commodity.
But it is. Think about it. As technology accelerates, deep work is becoming rarer because we are all addicted to distraction. We are constantly pinged, buzzed, and notified.
Right.
But at the same time, the market is demanding more complex problem solving. We have these incredibly complex machines and systems now.
Yeah.
So you have this massive supply gap.
A gap.
If you can do the thing that is rare focus and apply it to the demand complex problems, you have a massive advantage. And Newport identifies 3 specific groups who are going to win in this new economy.
Okay, we got the list here. Group 1. The highly skilled workers. These are the people who can work with intelligent machines, data scientists, AI specialists.
Exactly. If you can leverage smart machines to produce results, you are valuable. But you can't learn to code AI by skimming a tutorial while watching TikTok.
No, that requires depth.
It absolutely does.
Right. Now, group 2 is interesting. The superstars.
This is where the internet changes everything. Technology has transformed the talent market into a winner-take-all system.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you needed a programmer in 1990, you hired the best one in your town. Now, you can hire the best one in the world remotely.
So the market is global.
Precisely. If you are the absolute best in your field, your market is now global, and your potential rewards are infinite. But the flip side is brutal. If you are just average, you are now competing against the best in the world.
Good enough isn't good enough anymore.
Not as a viable strategy, no. You have to be elite to stand out.
That is terrifying. And the third group?
The owners of capital. People with the money to invest in these new technologies.
Okay. Well, assuming most of us listening aren't sitting on a mountain of venture capital right now, let's focus on the first 2.
Fair enough.
Whether you want to be a superstar or just highly skilled, Newport says you need 2 core abilities.
First, The ability to master hard things quickly. Technology changes so fast that what you learned in college might be obsolete in 5 years. You have to be a learning machine.
Okay. And second?
You need the ability to produce at an elite level in terms of both quality and speed.
And the argument here is that you cannot do either of those things, learning hard stuff or producing elite work, if you are distracted.
It is biologically impossible.
Yeah.
And this brings us to one of the most important concepts in the entire source material, attention residue.
I love this concept because it explains why I feel so slow after spending an hour on email.
It's not just a feeling, it's a physiological mechanism. The term comes from research by Sophie Leroy. She found that when you switch from task A, say, writing a report, to task B,
Checking a Slack notification.
exactly, your attention doesn't instantly snap to the new task.
It's not a clean break.
Never. A residue of your attention remains stuck on the previous task. You're looking at the email, but part of your brain is still processing the report.
And when you switch back.
You're bringing residue from the email with you. It creates this cognitive sludge.
And the scary part is the recovery time. The research suggests it takes about 20 minutes to fully recover from a distraction and get back to deep focus.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
So think about the math. If you check your Slack or email every 10 or 15 minutes,
Then you are never, literally never, operating at your full cognitive capacity.
you are permanently in a state of semi-distraction. You're essentially working with a handicap. It's like trying to run a sprint while wearing a weighted vest, but you're the one who put the vest on.
That is a massive wake-up call. We are sabotaging our own brain power. Okay, so we know the cost. We know we need to go deep. But practically speaking, we can't all just quit our jobs and move to a monastery.
Right.
We have bosses, clients, kids. How do we actually fit this into a normal life?
Newport is very practical about this. He outlines 4 different philosophies of deep work. The idea is that you have to choose the one that fits your reality, or you'll fail.
Okay, let's run through them. First up, the monastic philosophy.
This is the most extreme. You eliminate shallow work entirely. You isolate yourself. Think of a sci-fi writer retreating to a cabin for 6 months to finish a novel. No email, no phone, just the work.
Sounds dreamy, honestly. But probably not realistic for someone with a mortgage and a manager who expects a reply by noon.
For most, no. So consider the bimodal philosophy. This is where you divide your time into clearly defined, long stretches.
Okay.
You might dedicate Monday through Wednesday solely to deep work. You are effectively unreachable. Then Thursday and Friday are for meetings, emails, and all the shallows.
I've seen this work for academics. Adam Grant is a famous example Newport uses. He stacks all his teaching into one semester so the other is pure research.
But again, for a corporate knowledge worker, vanishing for 3 days might get you fired. It requires a lot of autonomy.
True.
So for the vast majority of listeners, the third option is usually the winner, the rhythmic philosophy.
This is the chain smoker approach, but for productivity.
It's about building a daily habit. You do deep work at the same time every single day, say 6:00 a.m. to 9:00, or maybe 8:00 before the emails start flying. By making it a rhythm, you remove the decision fatigue. You don't have to decide to focus, it's just what you do at that time.
It reduces the friction. You don't have to have the willpower to start because the routine starts for you. And finally, there's the journalistic philosophy.
This is the hardest. This is fitting deep work in whenever you have a free hour. It's called journalistic because journalists are trained to switch into high-focus mode instantly to meet a deadline.
Like Walter Isaacson.
He's the prime example. He wrote his massive biographies in between meetings and crazy travel schedules. But for the average person, switching gears that fast is incredibly draining.
Yeah, you're just going to suffer from attention residue.
Exactly. You'll spend the first 20 minutes just trying to remember what you were doing. So you have to pick your fighter. The monk, the professor, the creature of habit, or the journalist.
But once you pick your style, you can't just sit down and hope for the best. You need rituals.
Right. Because relying on willpower is a trap.
A huge trap.
Willpower is a finite resource. You deplete it throughout the day. You cannot white-knuckle your way to deep focus every day. You need a structure that pulls you into the work.
The source material mentions 3 main components for a ritual: location, duration, and rules.
Location is huge. If you always do deep work in the same chair or the same corner of the library, your brain builds a mental association. You sit down and your brain says, oh, it's time to focus.
You don't have to fight for it.
And duration, setting a timer. Not just, I'll work until I'm tired. And then the rules. Strict boundaries. No internet, no phone. Maybe you have a specific type of coffee you only drink during deep work.
Little cues.
Exactly. These little cues signal to your brain that this is different from the rest of the day.
I love the examples of grand gestures in the book. Sometimes you need to do something dramatic to shake your brain into focus, like J.K. Rowling.
Yes, this is a great story. When she was struggling to finish the last Harry Potter book, the distractions at home, the dogs, the kids, the doorbell were too much.
So what'd she do?
So she checked into a suite at the Balmoral Hotel in Edinburgh.
Which is not cheap.
It was incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
But that was the point. The financial pain was the signal.
It's leveraging the sunk cost fallacy for your own benefit. I paid $1,000 to be here. I better write some pages.
Exactly. Or Bill Gates taking his famous Think Weeks, where he disappears to a cabin with just books and papers. The investment of money or effort signals to your psyche, this task is important.
It elevates the work above the daily noise.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is a nuance here I want to touch on. Deep work sounds very lonely. It sounds like you against the world. But Newport mentions the whiteboard effect.
This is an important exception. While deep work is usually solitary, there is power in collaborative deep work. If you and a colleague are both fully focused on the same hard problem, staring at a whiteboard, pushing each other,
You can reach a different level.
a level of depth that is hard to get alone. But the key distinction is that you aren't multitasking. You aren't checking phones while you brainstorm. You are both locked in on the one problem.
Shared depth, not shared distraction. Okay, so we have the philosophy and the rituals. Now we need to execute. And Newport borrows a framework here called the 4 disciplines of execution, or 4DX.
This moves us from strategy to action. And discipline number 1 is focus on the wildly important.
Which means stop trying to do everything.
You cannot do deep work on 20 different goals. You need to pick 1 or 2 specific, measurable goals, like publish 3 research papers this year or launch the new product beta. Deep work requires too much energy to be spread thin.
Okay, discipline number 2, act on lead measures. This one took me a second to wrap my head around. What is the difference between a lead and a lag measure?
A lag measure is the result you want, like finish the book or lose 10 pounds.
Okay.
By the time you see that number, the time has passed. You can't control it directly in the moment. It was like stepping on a scale. That's a lag measure of your diet.
Right, so what's the lead measure?
The lead measure is the thing you can control that leads to the result. For dieting, it's calories eaten today. For deep work, the lead measure is simply hours spent in a state of deep focus.
So don't worry about the page count today. Worry about the hours spent deep.
Exactly. If you hit the hours, the lead measure, the result, the lag measure will follow.
Discipline number 3, keep a scoreboard. This is the Jerry Seinfeld method, right?
It is. Seinfeld used to keep a calendar on his wall. Every day he wrote a joke, he put a big red X on that day. His only goal was, don't break the chain.
You need a physical tally.
It makes it a game.
It sounds simple, but seeing that row of X's is surprisingly motivating.
Yep.
And finally, accountability.
A regular review to look at that scoreboard. Weekly reviews are essential. You have to ask, did I hit my hours? If not, why? It keeps you honest.
Okay, here is where it gets really challenging for me. We need to talk about rewiring the brain. Because Newport argues that even if you schedule deep work, you might not be able to do it if your brain is broken by social media.
This is the harsh truth of the book. He argues that the ability to focus is like a muscle. But conversely, the ability to be distracted is also a habit you are training.
So if I spend my entire life giving in to distraction,
If you check your phone every time you stand in line at the grocery store, or every time there is a lull in conversation, or while the microwave is counting down, you are training your brain that boredom is dangerous.
you're training your brain to crave novelty.
Exactly. So you have to embrace boredom. If you can't be bored for 5 minutes, you can't do deep work for 4 hours. Your brain will revolt. It will scream for a dopamine hit.
And he suggests a flip in how we schedule distraction.
Right. Most people say, I'll focus, and then I'll take a break to check Instagram. Newport says, flip it. Schedule specific times for distraction.
Like an appointment.
Exactly. Say, I will check social media at 12:00 p.m. and 5:00 p.m. Outside of those blocks, you're off limits. Even if you have nothing to do, you are taking a break from focus rather than a break from distraction. It builds the tolerance.
That is a subtle but powerful shift. And speaking of training the brain, he mentions productive meditation. This isn't sitting on a cushion with incense.
No, not at all. This is utilizing physical time, walking the dog, commuting, showering, to think deeply about a single professional problem.
I try this, and usually my mind wanders to what I'm going to eat for dinner within 30 seconds.
And that is the practice. When your mind wanders, you pull it back to the problem over and over. That act of pulling it back is the rep that strengthens the muscle. It's mental weightlifting.
Now, we have to address the elephant in the room, the chapter where he basically says, quit social media.
He anticipates the pushback here. Everyone says, but Facebook helps me keep in touch with old friends. Or Twitter's where I get news.
Newport calls this the any benefit mindset.
Exactly. The any benefit mindset says that if a tool provides any benefit at all, you should use it. Hey, this app gives me a funny meme once a day, so I'll keep it. Newport rejects this.
So what's the alternative?
He proposes the craftsman approach. A craftsman doesn't use a tool just because it's shiny. They ask, do the positive impacts of this tool substantially outweigh the negatives?
So sure, Twitter gives you breaking news, but if it destroys your ability to focus for 3 hours a day?
Then the cost outweighs the benefit. The damage to your concentration is worth more than the nugget of news.
He suggests a pretty extreme experiment to test this.
The 30-day quit. Quit social media cold turkey. Don't announce it. Don't post a goodbye status. Just stop.
And after 30 days...
Ask yourself 2 questions. Would the last 30 days have been notably better with social media? And did anyone care that I wasn't using it?
If the answer is no, stay off. It's brutal, but I bet for 99% of people the answer is no, my life wasn't worse.
Exactly.
Okay, last section. We still have to live in the real world. We still have emails to answer. How do we drain the shallows?
You cannot eliminate shallow work, but you can contain it. The best tip here is to schedule every minute of your day.
Now, I can hear the listeners groaning. That sounds stifling. I don't want to live by a spreadsheet.
It sounds stifling, but it's actually liberating. If you don't schedule your day, other people will schedule it for you via their requests. Instead of reacting to emails all day, you decide, I will do email from 11.0 to 12.0.
You move from reactive to proactive.
Right. It stops the cognitive leak.
And how do we know if a task is shallow? I love the grad student test.
It's a great heuristic. Ask yourself, how long would it take to train a smart, recent college grad to do this task?
And if the answer is 10 minutes or a couple of days?
Then it is shallow work. It doesn't use your specific hard-earned expertise. You should try to automate it, delegate it, or batch it.
And finally, fixed schedule productivity. This is setting a hard deadline, like I stop working at 5:30 p.m. no matter what.
The scarcity of time forces you to be ruthless. If you know you have to stop at 5:30, you stop saying yes to nonsense. You stop wasting time on shallow tasks because you literally can't afford to.
It forces you to prioritize the deep work because the clock is ticking. You become hard to reach. You set boundary. It's about respecting your own time so others do too.
Precisely.
So let's bring this all home. We've covered a lot.
If we look at the big picture, deep work is about creating value. It's about choosing a philosophy, whether that's rhythmic or bimodal, that works for you.
Right.
It's about tracking your lead measures, which is the time you spend focusing.
It's about embracing boredom and not letting the internet rewire your brain into a distraction machine.
But the so what here is important. Newport finishes by arguing that a deep life is a good life. Shallow work leaves you feeling empty and frazzled. Deep work, pushing your mind to its limits to create something of quality, is profoundly satisfying.
It's the difference between feeling busy and feeling fulfilled.
Exactly. Flow states aren't just productive, they are where humans feel best.
So here is our final thought for you. I want you to open your calendar and look at tomorrow. Just look at it. How much of that day is specifically scheduled for deep, focused work on your most important goal? And how much of it is just open space, waiting for the world to dictate what you do?
That ratio tells you everything you need to know about where your career is heading.
That's it for this deep dive. Go find some focus.
And embrace the boredom.
See you next time.